Let's explore autistic history and the Autism Wars. This is part 76 of a series. Alright, we left off in the last video looking at the history of applied behavior analysis, or ABA. And I'm going to jump back into that and share some more with you. And then I'm going to delve into some articles about its history as well, other resources on this. And then after we're through with this bit of history, we're going to start moving into Defeat Autism Now and get a real feel for all the autism community happenings and activities that were going on in this era before leading up to the 2000 legislation. And this is when they signed the Children's Health Act into legislation. All right, so we're going to pick up here with reviews since 2020. The results of 2 studies surveying autistic adults who went through ABA as a child found that a majority perceived ABA to have a detrimental impact on their lives. Although, in common with most ABA research, the studies have methodological concerns and a risk of bias. 2 2020 reviews found that very few studies directly reported on or investigated possible harms, although a significant number of studies mentioned adverse events in their analysis of why people withdrew from them. There was no effort to monitor or collect data on adverse outcomes. And so I'm going to jump now from there to the criticism section. And then after this, it's quite lengthy, is also the view of the autistic community. All right. Researchers and advocates have critiqued the ABA ethical code as being too lenient, discussing how it does not restrict or clarify the appropriate use of aversives. It does not require competency, as ABA therapists are not required to take even a single class on autism, brain function, or child development. Its view of the client as the parent, meaning that requiring client consent only requires parental consent, not the person receiving services. Similarly, it's argued that because the parent is seen as the client, the goals that are set under the ethical code are according to the client's needs, which often means that focusing on changing autistic behaviors for the benefit of the parent and not the child is considered ethical. Furthermore, studies have argued that ABA may be abusive and can increase symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, in patients. The Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, or ASAN, campaigns against the use of ABA in autism, as do many other autistics and organizations worldwide. All right. Another criticism of Lovaas' method is Lovaas' connection with gay conversion therapy, using his own behavior modification techniques seen in ABA in the Feminine Boy Project. Similarities in gay conversion therapy to making boys indistinguishable from their heterosexual peers have been drawn, with Lovaas' belief that ABA makes autistic children indistinguishable from their normal friends. According to social worker and researcher Jake Pine, Pyne, ableism is a reason why ABA continues to be practiced in some jurisdictions where conversion therapy is prohibited, despite the underlying similarities. Others have rejected these comparisons between ABA and gay conversion therapy, arguing that such comparisons are harmful to both the autistic community and the LGBTIQA+ community. One study revealed extensive undisclosed conflicts of interest, COI, in published ABA studies. 84% of studies published in top behavioral journals over a period of 1 year had at least one author with a COI involving their employment, either as an ABA clinical provider or a training consultant to ABA clinical providers. However, only 2% of these studies disclosed the conflict of interest. This is, yeah. All right, it says here some bioethicists, hopefully I pronounced that right, argue that employing ABA violates the principles of justice and non-malfeasance and infringes on the autonomy of autistic children and their parents as well. And as a parent who's seen this so often, it also harms their self-determination as adults. But back to this. Another concern is that ABA research only measures behavior as a means of success, which has led to a lack of qualitative research about autistic experience of ABA, a lack of research examining the internal effects of ABA, and a lack of research for autistic children who are non-speaking or have comorbid intellectual disabilities, which is concerning considering this is one of the major populations that intensive ABA focuses on. Research is also lacking about whether ABA is effective long-term, and very longitudinal outcomes have been studied. One more area of critique has been the ideological warfare surrounding ABA and TEACH, T-E-A-C-C-H, despite the philosophies and practices of the two approaches not necessarily being in opposition. The rhetoric surrounding ABA was criticized by the British Institute of Learning Disabilities, including parents and professionals that claim ABA cured their child's autism, like one parent who claims that ABA saved her children's lives, likening it to chemotherapy as treatment for cancer. So you have Justin B. Leaf and others examined and responded to several of these criticisms of ABA in a 2021 paper, in which they question the evidence upon which these criticisms are based. The Autism Wars even there, huh? And concluded that in the published literature there is limited to no validity that they claim that all ABA is abusive. Others have published similar responses. Well, did they do a study to find out which ABA is abusive? Oh, these studies. The Autism Wars and studies being funded to argue against the autistic community is just astoundingly incredible to me still all these years. And they have money to pull this kind of stuff, but that's all right. Moving on to views of the autistic community, and yeah. But I'm going to wrap this video up here. We covered quite a bit of information. In the next video coming up, I'm going to share this next section titled Views of the Autistic Community. And there is more in this entry on applied behavior analysis or ABA in Wikipedia. You're more than welcome to go jump in there and start doing research and take it as a jump point. There is also more information on ABA on internationalbadassactivists.org, especially the timeline I've been working on. It can be found there, as well as other resources and archives and information. But I am going to say thank you for joining me and learning a little bit more about autistic history.